understanding ourselves feels like a wandering thought, a vast, unmarked map where the signs are subtle, the lessons repeat, and the destination is never quite where we expect it to be. What if there was a way to see that map more clearly? Not as a set of predictions, but as a mirror of the patterns, the seasons, and the soul curriculum we've been all walking along. Welcome back, listeners, to Cosmic Confluence. I'm your host, Sana, and today we are joined by Dr. Sue, a medical doctor, midlife transformation guide, and radiant soul who blends grounded science with soulful tools like the tarot numerology. But before you think, oh, it's once again fortune telling, no, I'm not interested. Let's take a lens for you, listeners, because this is about deep self awareness, uncovering the threads that keep showing up in our lives, and learning how to align with our deepest truth in a mindful, grounded way. So, together, we'll be exploring how this ancient meets modern framework can help all of us, especially women in midlife, navigate change, rediscover joy, and trust their own inner compass. So, with that, Dr. Sue, welcome to the show. I'm really excited for this conversation.
Wow, what an amazing intro, Son. Like, I was just like, wow, all of it is so true, isn't it? Like, we
Yeah,
just kind of sometimes we just feel like we're walking through the dark, like, where am I? What's going on?
yeah,
For sure.
yeah, that is true. And it is so relevant in today's day and age. Because now the conversation is not only about midlife. I mean, we are seeing unexpected changes from all ends, whether it's our health, it's our our profession, our personal lives. It's at a global level. So I think it's this is the time when we should all be talking about these ancient tools, but in today's framework, not just the typical,
Mhm.
like, people have a lot of misconception around numerology, astrology. Even in India, we talk about Vastu Shastra, like the location based
Mhm. Yes.
the patterns of the location. So, yeah, I mean, these are really some great conversations which should be happening.
I'm so grateful you're having these conversations, Anna, truly. Like, I agree. I think there's so many ancient tools out there that when we add them to our toolbox, it brings more clarity to our lives. I know that's what tarot numerology has done for me, for sure.
Totally. Now, Dr. Sue, before even trying to understand tarot, the benefits of
Mhm.
tarot numerology, first of all, I think it's more important to have that clarity, that acceptance of the fact that irrespective of so much happening right now in my world, and especially for women in midlife, so many changes, we often think that I do not even have that privilege to even hear that word, or even listen to any podcast or any show talking about it. I have to figure out
Mm.
on my own. Why do you think
Mhm.
it's so essential?
Why do I think what? Sorry.
Why do you think it is essential to have that clarity, that openness to put
Mhm.
ancient practices and tools?
I think of it as curiosity, Sana. I think of it as being curious, filled with wonder, filled with like childlike wonder can lead to amazing places because if you think and behave like a child, you're much more open-minded, you're open-hearted, right? You're just kind of like, what's that about? Which is really how I leaned into tarot at first, and then numerology came along right at the same time. But I just leaned in with childlike wonder because I was in a gift shop and I was lit up by this gift shop. I was like, "What is going on here? This is really fun and exciting." I was on vacation, like a getaway weekend with my husband, and we were just taking time to enjoy the area and walk through the shops, and I was drawn to this back corner of the store and particularly to this deck of tarot cards, and I had heard the word tarot, but I really didn't know anything about tarot at all. And yet I knew, like a child, "Give me that. I need that. I don't know what this is about, but I want that." And so I did. I have the deck at home, and I just said, "Okay, what now?" And I felt like I just followed the breadcrumbs. I love courses, I love learning. So I found a tarot teacher who I could do it all online and really learn about kind of the fundamental, where tarot came from, which is just like a deck of playing cards, and where tarot, most people think of as, fortune telling, right? And this woman was really shifting my perspective as a way of you can use it as a coaching tool. You could use it, and I eventually realized, this is sort of like the ink blot, here in the States. And we use like psychologists back in the day, psychiatrists, they used to say, stare at this paper. It's like a black paper with black on it. I mean, a white paper with black on it, ink blot. And they'd be like, what do you see? Right. And everyone sees something a little different. And to me, I thought that's beautiful because tarot can be the same thing. Like so many people can be looking at the same card, or you can even be looking at the same card 100 times over and see something different because something is opening for you to bring that from the subconscious to the conscious thought finally. And knowing personal development, I knew that the vast majority of our thoughts and feelings, rules, beliefs that are driving our habits and behaviors and therefore results are rooted in the subconscious. So then I thought, oh my gosh, this is a beautiful, amazing tool to help women tap into their subconscious, starting with myself. Starting with myself, I would practice every day.
That's beautiful, Dr. So first of all, the origin itself is so endearing, and yes, that childlike curiosity that gives you such a joy, physically,
Mhm,
mentally, spiritually as well.
mhm,
And secondly, with the time going by, the years going by, I have really started to respect the universe, because the universe every time, through so many different ways, elements, and through nature or through animals, it gives so many subtle signs out there for all of us. um
mhm.
the beauty of the fact that we humans are all made of the fundamental same elements, but everybody has their own way of looking at things, looking at situations, interpreting, translating situations. I think that's the beauty. And I think it's really good that we are exploring how tarot can be used for reflection and personal growth.
Mm, yes, and I found the same similarity with numerology when I I would see patterns of numbers all the time for decades, and I started reading, about angel numbers, and this is a connection to the divine, and I thought it felt so reassuring. It felt like mothering. It felt like you're not alone. Everything's gonna be okay. Um, and then I learned that there's actually this thing called numerology where these are patterns. It's a pattern language. And I thought, oh, wait a minute. I know in personal development, if you're able to see the pattern, then you can actually use the pattern for you instead of the pattern just whipping you around, getting used by the pattern. And then you can create new things with that pattern. So once I realized that, I thought, "Oh, I wanna study numerology. I wanna know what these numbers are about. I wanna know the patterns of numbers that are going on right now," because in our calendar system, every day is a number, right? And every day is within a month, within a year, and so that number is changing. And if I can know more about the energy of this number or the kind of fundamental principles or patterns that fall around this number, then I could really get in sync with it rather than just feeling like I'm getting tossed around, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And then, Dr. Sue, there are a lot of misconceptions, especially when we talk about astrology, numerology, tarot.
Mhm.
it's kind of a bit, unfortunately, a negative connotation attached to it. And uh, personally, I also used to have. Um, uh, why do you think? I mean, how do you think we should approach tarot and numerology? Because a lot of practices are more towards, fear mongering, or okay, this is something negative is going to happen, so you need to do so and so to prevent that. I mean, what is more of a pragmatic way to approach this?
I would look at it really as a tool to use for strategy of better understanding yourself and a situation rather than thinking of it, as I don't believe that things are predetermined. I believe that we're born consciousness with free will. Right? So, no set of cards or decks or numbers or astrology or anything is predetermining your destiny, right? Your destiny is determined by your decisions every day, whether you're making those decisions consciously or unconsciously. So, my whole point is like use these tools so that you can connect with the subconscious to better make your conscious decisions moving forward. That's how I use it pragmatically. So I read my astrology every morning.
Mhm.
And, sometimes, it's like, wow, this is really resonating. I can see where this, and sometimes it's just like, I don't know, it's just a bunch of words on
Mhm.
a page. Right.
Yeah.
And so I don't really like put too much into it. I don't really be like, well, then this doesn't work. It's more like, seeing is something resonating for you today where you can use that for your life, right? So rather than saying it's good, it's bad, it's right or wrong, it's just a neutral tool that you can choose to put in your toolbox for the day, or just say, I'm not going to use that tool today. I don't really need it. If that makes sense. Like things are working for me and flowing through my life and relationships and health and, you know, my business or my purpose in the world. And so I don't really need that tool today. I find it as a fun way to connect with myself and source every morning because every morning I get up and before anybody talks to me or I talk to anybody else in the morning, it's just me alone. And I find that a really sacred tool, to spend time with myself. I journal. I look at the numbers for the day. I pull the tarot cards. I look at the astrology. I journal. I color. I draw and just really spend time connecting to myself and source and lift myself up with empowering thoughts.
That's so inspiring. After so inspiring.
Mm.
Um, and another beautiful part of your work, you do is you talk about helping women uncover their soul curriculum. So what exactly does that mean, and how
I
tarot
know.
helps shape?
So I'm thinking about a soulful I call them soulful strategy sessions, by the way, because that's really when someone meets with me one-on-one, just kind of one-offs, like people would say I'm getting a tarot reading. I say we're doing a soulful strategy session. So you can see I'm quite pragmatic from the beginning. It's like so the way that I look at it Donna, is I'm teaching the person based on their birth date what their soul number is, like the one and their soul number, but kind of their constellation of numbers, if you will. And I do that in a way that rather than saying like you're a 3 and a 3 is an expanding number, like instead of just throwing more words at them, I'll say, your birthday adds up to, and reduces to a 3. Like for instance, if you never heard of this principle, like my birth date is March 8th, 1972. So 3 plus 8 plus 1 plus 9 plus 7 plus 2
Yeah.
is 30 and 3 plus 0 is 3. So my soul number is a 3. Now, what I love to do is then I show the 3 in the tarot card is the Empress. And so when I showed this to this woman, this Empress card, it's the same way of I felt once I saw the Empress card. I was like, "Oh, okay." That, like, makes so much sense to me, right? And when she starts looking at the card, I don't say what it means to me. I say, "What do you see in this card? What do you see?" And she starts talking about it. as a mirror in her life, actually. And the Empress is kind of the mother of all mothers, and she's always creating, and she's created so many businesses, and you could look at that and be like, "This is so frustrating. Why am I on my 5th business?" And when you look at the Empress, she's always got something in the womb. She's a creator, right? And so it allows the woman to actually own, who she is, and also see, like, where she's going with that, right? So another big number in your, numerology is the day you were born. Like, I'm born on the 8th. So 8 in tarot is the strength card. When I saw the strength card, I was like, "Bring it." Like, I was just like, "Yes, I'm gonna totally own that I am strength. I am inner strength." Like, people always comment about, like, kind of the crazy things that I do, like physical challenges, and also just my whole, my whole career path, right, of just courageous action of following my dreams, right, and I'm like, "Yeah, because 'cause I'm strength, girl." So to me, when I showed her birthday, it was a 6, so if you're a 6, like, you're born on the 6th or the 15th of the month, because 1 plus 5 is 6, or the 24th of the month, because 2 plus 4 is 6. So when I showed her the 6 is the Lovers in tarot. And it's just this beautiful, like, very passionate, there's so much passion in this card, and it just allowed her to really see, the soul curriculum is really like, what are you here for? What is your purpose? And how do you, create that purpose and live that purpose and give that purpose, breathe that purpose. And, so much is happening in an exchange of back and forth, but she texted me, like, hours and even the next day, she goes, "I'm still buzzing, like, I'm the empress." Like, it was just so cool because you're able to see in your with your own eyes and in a way that you resonate. It's your words you're saying back to yourself that are in your subconscious coming to your conscious thought, like, "Yes," and owning it. And I find, like, that's just so empowering for women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. I mean, that's my experience.
Oh, that sounds really surreal. Dr. Sue, you mentioned about the first is the all the numbers of the date of birth added, and the
Mhm.
number that kind of, according to that, it kind of dictates uh, the tarot, the numerology in there. And then there is the sum of the numbers in your birthday, as in the date, not the date, but just the number of the.
Yes.
So, uh,
Uh-huh.
is kind of the soul curriculum is like a blend of these two.
Yeah, you can think of that. Yes, you can. And there's more, depending on, like, you if you're born a 3, um, you have a constellation in the tarot, a constellation, because in the major arcana, there's the 12th card, which is the Hanged One, and then there's the World card, 21, which adds up to 3 too. So you can kinda look at those, right, and create, but yes, so I look at it more as, like, you're not just one number, but your soul number is the birth date, whatever that reduces to between a 1 and a 9 is your soul number. And then there's the constellation of numbers around that that really help you anchor in not only your gifts, also kind of the shadow, the things you might deny. Like for me, one of my shadows is the 12, the Hanged One, which is about surrender, which is about stillness, which is about slowing down. When I saw that, I was like, wow, that is so spot on. I'm always just wanting to, like, do the next thing, create the next thing, right? And so to me, it allows me to recognize the importance of, like, when in stillness, I can actually shift a perspective. I can see something differently. I can hear God speak or source speak, right?
Hmm.
So, yeah, there's a constellation.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. Um, and one of your focuses is on spotting repeating patterns. So,
Mhm.
why do you think, Dr. Su, we often miss these patterns until someone or something points them out?
Mm. I think it's so hard to just see our own blind spots, right? So these patterns are patterns of thoughts, patterns of rules, patterns of behaviors. Often, I find that we can most figure them out when we're activated, or what most people will say when I'm triggered. When you're triggered, or what I say is activated, there's something that's not at peace and equanimity within you around that. And you can use that moment to figure out, like, why, what's underneath that. Like a common thing is like someone gets angry, like you get angry. When I get angry, I'm like, anger is either like someone broke a rule of mine, or I just am like so much stacked hurt that I just finally explode like a volcano. Like I've just stuffed it in for so long that finally, the straw that broke the camel's back, and I'm just off the charts. If you're looking at, when you get angry and someone's broken a rule of yours, you can ask yourself, "What is that rule?" Because often we don't even know that these rules that we live by. So I think part of it is just like they're hard to spot because we're just doing life and we're not really pausing in stillness and getting curious and leaning in with wonder of like, "Wow, if I'm angry right now, am I hurt, or did someone break a rule of mine? And if they did break a rule, like, do I even know what that rule is? What is that rule? Did I ever tell them I had that rule?" Right?
Mm.
So you start to lean in and get curious about it. To break the pattern, because then the way you break the pattern is you get the pattern, you see the pattern, and then you use the pattern for you. So a way that I would use the pattern in that circumstances, I would go to that person and I'll be like, "Hey, you know what? I just realized I have this rule. And so when you did that, I felt angry because I have a rule that like that's not great." Or you could also just shift the pattern just by having the whole conversation by yourself. You could shift your perspective, like, that person didn't even know my rules, so how can I be mad at them? I didn't even tell them, right?
Yeah, yeah. But that's really sounds like very um considerate, um empathetic, and also
Mm.
self-awareness that, you know, let me first look at myself, talk to myself, and then I'll try to understand what exactly just happened, whether the kind of reaction I gave is right or wrong, is something, it's actually helping you become more and more, conscious of your repeating patterns. So I think that is very, very, once again, fascinating. um and if we talk about, because you stress on aligning with our deepest truth, it is powerful, but it can also be, sometimes intimidating, especially
Mhm.
when we think about this from a perspective of, women in midlife, because let's admit it, there are a lot of changes physically, there are a lot of changes, your surroundings are changing, people are changing, it affects your professional as well as your personal life. So what does that process look like in real life, Dr. Sue?
In terms of aligning with your deepest truths,
Yeah.
I think the easiest way that I can say it is being authentic.
Okay.
So, what I mean by that is often your deepest truths you sometimes wanna hide.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, even me talking about tarot numerology, like, this has been a journey for me to be able to be on a podcast talking about tarot numerology, because I wanted to hide it. I wanted to be like, "Oh, man, why do I need to?" Because it's not really widely accepted yet. It's really kind of out there and like, "What?" And like you kinda said, just yeah, it doesn't always come off in the greatest light, like, people are like, "What?" And some actually think it's demonic, which is I think is crazy. It's neutral. Like, just like a gun is neutral, what's it's an emotionally charged person who picks up the gun, that's the problem.
Hmm.
So to me, it's just a neutral tool, but I had to do the inner work to be able to be like, well, this is me. I believe this is a great tool. And then using the tool and saying and seeing the results in these women. And it's fun. We're having fun. Personal development, I feel like sometimes people think is a real drag because you're just looking at all the things that, you get to work on basically. But this is actually really a lot of fun, and that was a big feedback that I got from women, like, "It's fun. This is fun." Like, they could come in like a down and out mood or tangled up, and then they're leaving and they're laughing because it is fun, and we're in there, like, with childlike wonder, just having fun. And so once I really own that inner truth, like, no, I really believe that this is a tool that we can use for benefit for myself, for others, and for the greater good. Because as the mom, or the woman, she has a lot of influence in her life, whether it's influence at work or influence with her children. And so the more she gets to better know herself, the more she can better influence those around her.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Great, great. So, Dr. Sue, if our listeners, they would like to seek some guidance to, approach towards tarot and numerology in a mindful way, they would like to connect with you, what would be the best way?
The best way is to reach out through my website, drsuemccreadie.com. So that's DrSuemccreadie.com.
Super. I'll make sure to mention that in the show notes for our listeners. And Dr. Sue, what I loved about this conversation that it really helps us understand that our lives aren't just like a series of random events. They are part of a bigger story that's been unfolding all along. So thank you
Mm.
so much.
Thank you, Sana. This has been so fun. Thank you so much.
And to all the listeners, you know what I believe? Tarot numerology, especially in Dr. Sue's hands, isn't about predicting that story's ending. It's about helping us see the themes, the lessons, and the quiet invitations woven through each chapter. So, whether you are navigating change, questioning your direction, or you're simply curious about the patterns that keep showing up for you, maybe this episode is your reminder that you already hold the pen. Until then, this has been Cosmic Confluence, and please refer to the show notes to connect with Dr. Sue along with this episode. Till next time, this is your host, Sana, signing off. Thank you.